to the online international level students' knowledge building transdisciplinary webinar on the topic Building Applications 2021 Way. Let us start today's program with a prayer song. I invite Anusha for the prayer song.
सत्यव्रतं सत्यपरं त्रिसत्यं सत्यस्य योनिं सत्ये सत्यस्य सत्यं हृदसत्यनेत्रं सत्यात्मकं त्वां चरणं प्रपन्नाः वाणी गुणानुकथने श्रवणौ कथाय हस्तौ च कर्मसु मनस्तव पादयोनः स्मृत्यां शिरस्तव निवास जगत्प्रणामे दृष्टिस्तदां दर्शनेस्तु भवत्तनूनां नमो भगवते तस्मै कृष्णायात्मुदकर्मणे रूपनाम विभेदेन जगत्क्रीडति यो यतः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
Thank you. Now I invite Ms. Padma Shri to welcome and introduce our resource person.
Good morning to one and all present here. On behalf of Department of Computer Science, I take a great privilege to welcome resource person Mr. Vignesh Sundarajan, our beloved principal Dr. Geeta ma'am, Dr. C.P. Sumati ma'am, HOD, Department of Computer Science, my professors, and my student participants. I am glad to give a brief introduction about a resource person, Mr. Vignesh Sundarajan sir. He is currently working with Oracle America Incorporated, Pleasanton, California, as application engineer, public sector cloud team. He is having an overall experience of 5 years in his industry. He is currently involved in designing and developing cloud-based, highly scalable SaaS solution that helps local and state government to better track and monitor their resources and issues. He started his career with National Instruments R&D, Bangalore in 2015 as a software engineer, full-stack developer, and moved into Oracle America Incorporated, California as a full-stack intern, Oracle Cloud Team. He completed his Bachelor of Technology at Shastra University and Masters in Computer Science at UT Arlington. And he also got Deep Learning certification from deeplearning.io Coursera. He is a finalist on T-Mobile Hackathon UT Dallas. Developed AI shopping assistant with features like suggest and try product. Vaishnav College takes great pride in welcoming you, sir, and also welcome all the audience and participants to this webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you. We welcome you once again, sir. You can proceed from here.
Hello, hi. Thanks a lot for the intro, and thanks a lot for inviting me at the first place. Thanks, Ma'am Gayatri, and also Sumati Ma'am, and also my mom Radha. Thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity. And so so it's actually an amazing time to talk about tech and also to be in tech, with at least with computer science. So I just wanted to know, like, at least three people. Let me know what's your goal of doing this bachelor's. Just wanted to know, just any of you. Just tell me what's your plan after bachelor's, and why do you want to do computer science now? Anyone? Can you guys hear me?
So computer science is the only field in which we have daily updates. So we want to be updated each and every minute.
Right. That's a great answer. So yes, it also gives us more stress because there's Is something new that's always coming up. Thankfully, you said that answer. So I have something on my slide very much relating to this. So, is there any other reason that you guys came into computer science? Is there any inspiration, uh, which is a part where you chose this line over physics, chemistry, or anything else? Okay, so let's get started. Great. Can you guys see my screen?
Sir, one girl texted in chat box, sir. Can you
Oh,
see?
okay. I'm not able to see that. Let's.
She says it's evolving and constantly changing. We have challenges in this field which make it interesting.
Oh yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah, that's one of the main answer I was looking for. So yes, it's evolving and it's changing and it's going to change the world that we know today. So yeah, I mean, let's get started with the way that we are expected to build apps, at least in 2021. It's going to evolve, but at this point of time, if we take a snapshot of time and then freeze it to this moment, this is probably the best way that we would be building application, and that we would be exploring that in this presentation. So yeah, as oh, what's that? Two presentations, raised hands. Okay, so what is the future scope? It's pretty much everything. How many of you have been at least going out, like before this pandemic era? How many of you have been going out, taking a walk, and seeing how much has changed around you? Pretty much your infrastructure, your roads are going to be the same. Maybe it could have got improved a little. Your surroundings, maybe two to three trees, shrubs might have come up. There might be new shopping complex coming up, but it's all slow process. It's all very limited uh, to the amount of resources, amount of money, and all those things that is being pushed in. But if you take a look at the tech sector, how many of you are even using cash now? It's been cashless India for like what, 5 years, 3 years now. So it's completely evolving. It's changing everything. It's changing the entire paradigm. So if you see, for example, if you want to go by car to any destination, you don't pay tolls anymore. It's completely by cash. I'm sorry, you're not paying tolls by cash, but it's all being paid by FASTag, and you're seeing rapid increase in adoption of technology. Uh, when I say technology, I actually mean just computing, because there is technology in all other domains, but we have to just limit it to our discussion where we're just talking about computer science. So technology is kind of evolving so much that how much ever manpower we can produce, uh, we don't have it. Like, because there's 1.4 billion Indians requiring tech, and it's not just Indians. It's almost the whole world now requires tech. After COVID, it's going to like boom like anything, because the next decade is going to be computer science. And trust me, you're going to make a lot of money, but at the same time you also have a great responsibility of making sure that this technology is more accessible to everyone, to get it to the common person who doesn't understand what is what, and make him use this technology. And you are on the forefront and you have a huge responsibility. So it's pretty much everything. Every single job is going to be a tech job in future. It's just that they're not going to do programming. We will be doing the programming for them, but pretty much every job is going to be a tech job. For example, a bus driver might, once you board the bus, you might probably do a Google Pay or whatever that is available at that point of time to the bus driver, and there won't be a conductor, or there won't be a person who's appointed to do the job. It's going to go away. So it's just going to be the driver. And if you take the next 50 years, even his job is going to go away. We're going to have autonomous bus, autonomous cars. It's all going to go. It's all these jobs are going to go away, and either it's going to go away, or they're also going to be a part of this tech process, and their lives is going to get transformed. So the future scope of technology and computer science is humongous. Like this is going to be a huge responsibility on us, but at the same time, this growth is so much. And congrats that you are living in this time and in this moment where things are going to go, uh, like like crazy. So congrats on that. And then you're actually on the domain that's going up. So congrats on that too. So as someone just said, technology is constantly evolving. Like, let's say long back when our professors were graduating, there was just Fortran, COBOL, C++ maybe. But after that, there's been so much that got changed, and there's lots and lots of technology. But what this change has brought is something called a myth of a genius programmer. This I wanted to start with, so that it kind of gives you an inner engineering that you don't really need to be afraid that the technology is changing. Uh, Technology changes, but the way you write code, the way you write your logic, that's not going to change. So how many of you feel insecure when it comes to programming? Let's say I want you to write a Fibonacci series right away out of your mind. How many of you can write it? Very less, right? Like you might be able to write it. It's just that you have this initial anxiety that whether whatever you write is going to be correct, or whether whatever you're trying to do is correct or wrong. Like, I mean, you feel that someone else who is asking the question might know a lot, and you don't know that much. This is the myth of a genius programmer. There's no one called a genius programmer. So uh, it's kind of your internal thought process that actually determines it. So does your college and university really determine your skill? Not really. If you see all the biggest tech founders, they didn't even complete their university education. So how did they make it possible? And what we are really missing out is the one that we are going to cover in this whole presentation. It's going to be our core topic. What exactly stops you from doing it? And we're going to surround it with the latest technology and go forward with it. So so that's the imposter syndrome. Probably I'll just make this as a slideshow. Oops, I think I'm sharing the wrong screen. So right. So what is imposter syndrome? And this is something that I wanted to start because this has been infesting our community, at least the tech community, for a very long time. One of the reasons that imposter syndrome happens is, as someone said, uh, things are changing, evolving way fast than any other domain. Let's say you're doing a civil engineering, you don't really see the change in the type of construction of a road, right? Like road is always constant. It maybe the composition is going to change, but still the process is going to be very similar, or very uh, like very much easy to understand and go forward with it. So that prevents them uh, a lot of this anxiety or imposter syndrome. Have you ever been to a bank earlier? I mean, now no, I know no one is going to go to a bank, but if you had gone to bank earlier, you would see that the staff is really rude. Like they would be like, you don't know this, like you have to take this red form, blue form, white form, and then it's a mess. So but if you actually go to an IT company, or any technology company, that wouldn't be happening, because technology inherently makes you humble, because there's a lot of things that is changing and a lot of things that you don't know. The most exact reply someone would just say is like why something is not working or what is the process. They would just say, hey, I don't know, probably you can refer the documentation or ask someone else. So it's basically the imposter syndrome. It's just thinking that, oh, I don't know this, and there will be someone who knows more about this, or there could also be some it's like when you go to an interview, which you all are going to go to, they might be asking, do you know, C++, Java, Python, whatever technology, whatever programming language. So inherently you start to feel that, yeah, I don't know this, but the interviewer might be really genius, and then he's asking all this question. Not really. No one knows everything. It's just that that's exactly what imposter syndrome is. You see, your brain sees reality very different. So this is the thing that actually stops you from writing a lot of code and then publishing it and also talking about it. So yeah, this is really. I just wanted to start with this. Okay, so I, this is pretty much a basic question. What is a programming language, and uh, why there are so many programming languages at the first place? So let's look at what is the purpose of a language first. Why do we need a language? As humans, we want to communicate with each other in a certain grammar and in a certain context so that the other person is going to understand that. Well, why do we have thousands and thousands of human languages? We have Tamil, Telugu, Hindi. It goes on. Like why? What is the reason? What are you trying to achieve? Why don't we just delete everything and then just start with one particular or one language? Why is not happening? The fundamental reason of multiple languages is the way you can communicate. Uh, let's say you take English, right? You don't have emotions. A lot of emotions cannot be expressed in English. Like you don't have the pronunciation rules. You don't have all those fancy things that we have in our Indian languages, which gives you a much flexible emotional quotient. If you see, we are very emotional people. We can kind of have all the tones up and down. But when you actually see it in English, they don't have it. Their tones are very monotonous, and maybe they might yell, but not much variation in their pronunciation. So each every language kind of tries to achieve something that the other one doesn't provide, and that's exactly the reason we have so many programming languages. We have JavaScript, C, C++, Java, and I think it keeps on going. The list is infinite. I mean, you can write your own programming language if you really want to in a day. So, yeah. And when I was actually seeing through few of your papers, there was a question: define compiler. Can anyone define a compiler now? So it carries 2 marks. Yes. Anyone? Okay. Okay, so basically a compiler is nothing but just takes your written syntax and converts it to binary language. I mean, you already know that. Like, so why I just kind of put this as a topic was we have to understand that a lot of things that is actually happening in the computer world is actually the same thing that's happening in our reality, in our human world. It's just that it's not the parallels are not being drawn yet. There's so many languages and there's so many programming languages, and all the languages carry one single definitive uh, purpose in human language and also in programming language: logic. You just need to think about the logic and forget about the syntax. In human language, we call it as intent. Do you want water? Yeah, you need to ask water in certain syntax. That's it. But it's pretty much the same. Logic and intent is always the same. Try to make sure you only develop your logical thinking and critical thinking and not really the syntax oriented. You can always do a Google search for all the syntax, or even your code. You can do it. You can do a Google search and you should be able to do it. even the most experienced developer is going to do that. I've been working with people from Harvard, Stanford, mm, name your big universities. Every single person I see would definitely be looking onto Stack Overflow, looking at other projects, deviating from it. Uh, so yeah, that's pretty much uh, a tech job. And what is a design pattern? These are the things that we need to kind of brush up, so that when we go inside to the whole developing our app, all these things would kind of make sense. It's kind of like watching a Kamal movie. I hope everyone is a Kamalian here, but it's kind of like if you see the final endings, it's always mixed up. It's so many things happening, and then finally you get to a conclusion, and that's exactly what software development is also. You have so many things, so many variables uh, running in parallel, and when you finally keep going till the end, you would actually see that everything kind of comes into place and then works harmoniously. So what's a design pattern? Have you been to a mall? uh, Malls and supermarket are the best place to actually understand the design pattern. So if you take home, there's a design pattern for home. So you should have a hall, you should have a kitchen, you should have a restroom, you should have a bedroom. So these are the design patterns that is actually required for a home. So what do we call that? Like we call it as home. We give that building a name that is going to be a home or a house. But if you see a mall, then it's going to have a different structure, a different pattern. And if you see your college, it's going to have a different pattern. You're going to have a playground, a canteen, and all those things. You're going to have classrooms, not bedrooms or kitchen. So that's exactly the same in software engineering too. Design patterns are kind of the structures that we want to design our software on. So let's say Google Pay. Google Pay would kind of have a design that is completely different because they have to handle a high scalability. So they would have a completely different pattern than, let's say, our IRCTC app. IRCTC app doesn't have to scale. It's a government app. They don't want many people booking. So their patterns could be completely inferior because they don't really want many people to book at the same time. They would be like, yeah, hold the train for a certain amount of time till all the tickets are being booked. So that would be their design pattern. If you see Google Pay, on the other hand, they have to do parallel processing. Like they have to send money peer to peer. It's like hundreds and thousands of trains running in parallel. You're gonna send all those money to the other person, and it has to work fine. So that's exactly what we have to uh, like think about as design patterns. When you're going to design a software, you just need to think who is going to use it and what would be the business use case, and then just go forward with it. There's nothing like a design pattern is some design patterns are correct and some design patterns are wrong. No, there's nothing like that. There's no black or white. It's all shades of gray. You design, you think what is the best one. So I'll just try to show this. Just a minute. Right. So this web page that I have as a link has almost all the design patterns that is actually available for you to consume and then go forward with it. These are all predefined patterns. Like when you start to consume this, uh, as you know, software engineering has been there for a very long time. It's been there for like 40 years now, and even before that also they were doing similar software engineering. Uh, so they have come up with a lot of problems, and then they have already solved most of them. So when you actually look at it, they have bridge pattern where kind of uh, it's basically like constructing a road. You need to understand where to use a bridge. When like you have an island and you have a mainland, you have to use a bridge. So now tell me what would be a bridge pattern is. A bridge pattern is nothing but it just connects an abstraction of two independently varying entities, and that's exactly what uh, bridge pattern is. And you would see the implementation here, where you have a weapon interface, and then a sword is also a weapon, but this this weapon is the bridge that's going to connect multiple changing objects or changing implementations. So as you see, it has certain functions that can be written, and then a sword implements a weapon, and a hammer can be used both as a weapon at the same time. It can also be used as a tool to do something else. So once again, here we are incinerating it as a weapon. We're creating it a class, and then we're kind of it's all let's not go too much deep into this because this is not our topic. But what I'm trying to give you as a perspective is that software engineering is not just logics. Like if you write if condition, for loop, while, yeah, that's it. It's all done. It's like swaras in music. You just have seven swaras to compose any music, but the way in which you create it, like the tempo or or the patterns in which you use it, that makes the music completely different. It could be classic, it could be Carnatic, it could be Western, it could be anything else, it could be Arabic. So it's but all the base seven swaras are just the same. It's exactly the same in software engineering too. It's the same parallel that we have in reality. You have if conditions, switch, for, while, that's it. And of course functions are a way in which you can arrange, but it's not the real logic that you're going to write. Maybe binary operators, that's it. Just four items, that's it. And you could create infinite software, uh, like a world, complete virtual world, when you understand that it's just four items, but then using these four items in different ways, combinations and pattern, you could your sky's the limit. You could just uh, do whatever we want. I mean, that's exactly what's happening in our world. You could see that the entire diagram just got changed. It's like everywhere it's credit cards. Uh, in toll booths, it's all automatically detecting. You have cameras that automatically captures your car's license plate and bills you, or there are some RFIDs that's going to automatically do it. It's going to happen for every single place. Let's say you're crossing a signal, there's a camera there, and that they're going to do video processing, audio processing, and whatnot. It's sky's the limit. You could fundamentally change the world uh, with just four patterns. That's it. It's just four items that you need to learn, and then the rest all you have to learn is how to kind of create composite of all these patterns and make sure you get a better software out of it. So that's about software. Yeah, and then the test driven development. So I know there's huge number of stuff in software development. It's like everything is constantly changing, and then uh, it's really huge. So I was like, whatever I can deliver in this 2 hours itself is going to be not even 1%. It's going to be 0.00001%. So I wanted to concentrate only on two things. One is test driven development. So, and composition. Composition is the basic of software development. So, but first we'll go into test driven development, and then I would try to cut it short and then navigate into composition. So, so how many of us are sitting at this location just because of tests we have undergone? You guys are at this college just because you were able to clear your 12th examination at so and so level and then come here, right? So our entire life is actually a test driven development. You are being tested every single day, or maybe in your examinations, or even in your college, you're in your second year or third year, just because you wrote your test in in the second year or even in the first year. So our entire human life cycle is based on test, and the test is happening every single day. There are major tests like your internal exams or your final exams, or there are also bigger tests like how are you going to perform as an individual in this society. So again, there's a very huge parallel that you can draw between human reality to software development. So any software is only you can develop a software if you write proper test. And if you don't write test, then your software is not going to perform. You would just be happily writing a hello world in PHP, JavaScript, or whatever language you are familiar with, but you're not going to go past that. You will not be able to ship that software. You'll not be able to create your own side project or anything if you don't test your software. So test driven development is nothing but you initially start to write the test. You don't write software. You don't write a single line of logic until you see the test fail. So once the test fails, you're going to write some code to make this test pass, and then this passes the test, and that's when you enter the green cycle. And then you kind of think about it like how exactly can you improve this code, and that's exactly how we go forward. How many of you are essay writers? Like, how many of you write essays in Tamil or whatever mother tongue or your secondary language? How many of you do it? Can I see a rise of hands? Okay, Reshma. Oh, two people. Any more? Any more one who writes essay? Okay. So people who write essays would definitely know. I can see more hands rising up. Uh, any one of you who's writing essays or any kind of even let's say in Tamil or in English or whatever language you know, the first phase is you need to understand the intent, right? Like you need to know what you're going to write for. Is it going to be uh, for a general cause, or are you going to write it for some uh, certain public issue, or are you going to write for a very specific situation that you're going through? For everything you need to have an intent, and then you write a rough draft. And this rough draft, you kind of rethink again, how can I improve this? What will be the processes that I need to follow to improve this? Am I going to go line by line to check, yeah, this line is good, or you're going to go and look at the grammar? So this is nothing but refactoring. So the fancy name of reviewing your own writing essay and then coming up with a final draft or final version is nothing but refactoring. So just that in human languages we cannot automate this process. We cannot say that, yeah, let me see if this passes grammatically. Yes, those things are very difficult to do. It's a manual process in human languages. But when it comes to programming languages, it's not. You can write test cases. You can say that, yeah, this essay has to inspire so and so. So people, it has to go through all these edge cases. I should have talked about, uh, bus not coming on time, or there's no payment online. Let's say all those things are edge cases for for booking a bus. So you could write all those edge cases, test all those edge cases, and first write the unit test code, and then later write your code to pass all those things. This is real software engineering. This is something that has not been taught, at least in our country, because test-driven development is the way all the softwares are being built, and that would give you the pathway to break the imposter syndrome or whatever it is. Because you would see the tests getting passed, and you would always think how to improve the code, and that's it. You become the biggest software developer to ever live on this earth. That's it. That's all you need. So with that, let's get on to a demo where we'll just try to work in collaboration. Uh, I don't know how many of you can do chat, but we'll just try to be more communicative. As I said, if you feel that, no, I don't want to answer, or I don't want to kind of collaborate, then you're basically in your imposter syndrome. Just don't do that. You whatever you know is what I do know. I don't know anything much greater than you. We're all on the same page. So just feel free to collaborate. And all my 5 years of experience or whatever they they gave it in the intro doesn't really matter because things are changing so fast, and my experience could very well be absolute in 2 days. Who knows? So right. So to go forward with the test-driven development, I just created a very simple problem that we can go through in collaboration and try to understand. So so this is a fancy computer problem called TwoSum problem. A TwoSum problem is a very common problem that will be asked in any programming interviews. It's like saying it's like a prayer song that you have to sing in an interview. So you get that, like it's a very common interview question. It might be probably asked by Amazon, Google, like thousands and thousands of times, just to get the icebreaker, so that the interviewer or the interviewee is kind of relaxed and then wants to approach programming problems. So I've written a very basic code. I hope you can see my screen. So you can see that I have defined TwoSum function. This is written in Python. I'm really sorry if someone is not really into Python, but just get your programming started on Python. This would just help you master your logical skills, because you don't really have to do a lot of variable initialization, think about what you have to write. You could just write and it's going to work. It's the closest language that computer programming has to a human language. If you're writing essays, yeah, pretty much you can write a Python. I'm pretty sure most of you can understand what's happening here. You're defining a two-sum function with an array input and a target input. So before we enter into all these things, I'll tell you what a two-sum problem is. So let's say we have an array, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I have a target. The target is going to be 9. So in what combinations of this array, if I sum any two elements without repeating, it shouldn't be repeating. Like I shouldn't be summing 2 plus 2 plus 2. This is not allowed. You have to take two unique elements in this array, and you'll be only provided unique elements, and then get this output 9, the target output as 9. So what you have to return a subset of this array, where it's going to be, oh, on what combinations if you do, let's say 1 plus 2, what's going to be the result? It's going to be 3. We don't reach the target sum. And the next one would be 2 plus 3, it's going to be 5. It's still not reaching the target sum. So all you have to do is find what two combinations of elements inside this array would sum to this target element 9. So the ideal answer that we can go for is 4 plus 5. Pretty simple problem, right? Uh, but it's not. It's not a pretty simple problem. It's one of the biggest, or it's one of the most common problems that we have actually faced. This array is very small. It's a really small array. So you could do all the combinations. Let's do it like 1 plus 2, and then 1 plus 3, 1 plus 4, 1 plus 5, and goes on. And then you would take the next array element, 2 plus 3, and so forth. So, but imagine this array is going to be 1 billion in size, and you're going to waste a lot of time. At the same time, you're not going to get your result. So what would be the best way to implement this? Would be your interview question. Would exactly be your interview question if you're interviewing for any programming role. So so that's exactly where you need to understand the test driven development. You need to understand that you need to come up with a very, very basic, rudimentary, rough draft, and then improve over it, and then get to a solution that's the most optimal and the most performant one. And that's exactly what we do as software engineering in companies. We don't magically come up with the best optimal solution. We come up with a very rudimentary, very brute force solution, but we write the unit test case beforehand. So 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 you can see here, I just have one test case, just only one test case. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it has to return me 4 and 5. That would be the test. So I would try to run this test. I have not done any kind of implementation. It's going to fail. It says that it's failed, and because the function is returning no value when it has to return 4 comma 5. So even if you think, I would go to all the edge cases. If you think too much into this edge cases, there's so many edge cases that you want to handle, but we would just go through 2 to 3 edge cases, that because in the interest of time, and then we have to go and look at building uh, applications by using this as the basic principle. So let's write test two, test underscore test underscore two, and then we have uh, once again, this is a class structure in Python. Most of us would not be aware of it because we don't consider Python in a way as a object-oriented programming language. Most of us kind of write Python because we write scripts in Python, right? Like, so we don't follow that. But Python is a fully object-oriented programming language. It's just that it assumes all the types. Yeah, I can just say ARR is equal to array, something like this, and then it understands it automatically. It's an array type. Or if you write it in Java, you'd be like array list, and then you would have to define what type it is. You have to type integer, and then ARR is equal to new array list. And then once again, you need to define the size of it, or it just takes a lot of time to do something in Java. So that's why people kind of prototype it in Python or in JavaScript, because both of them assumes the type and then helps you move forward. But when you try to move it to production, like when you finally deliver the code, they would just rewrite it to Java for performance reasons, because it would take a lot of time to execute in Python. Let's create another use case. Uh, what would happen to our code if all the input is just going to be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0? So what do you think should be the output? It just needs to return target. Target is going to be 0. Do you think it has to return uh, two different two different array elements, because I already said it has to be unique, or it has to just return a -1 saying that it doesn't exist? So that's this is how we think on all edge cases. Just like going and buying a phone, you think about what would be the RAM. Would I be happy if I have 2 GB of RAM? Would I be happy if I have like 10 GBs of RAM? So all those things, it's the exact same thing that you have to write it in test cases. It has to be plain, simple, and it should be understandable. So this is the fundamental of software development. You just need to think on the edge cases that your function has to handle. Uh, TwoSum array, and then the target. It has to return -1. It cannot return an array, because I need only unique array elements, and there's no unique array element here. And even though adding 2 elements in this array is going to result in 0, let's say array of 0 and array of 1 is going to return to 0, but still it's not a unique element. So it has to kind of say -1. So this will be our test case. But before we go to this test case, let's try to execute the first one, get the first one passed, and then refactor. And probably someone from your team or from the audience can help me refactor to pass the second test case, right? So I'll just run this test case, and it's going to you could see that. Oh, I haven't saved it. So you can see that the 2 test cases are failing, and then we now perform the first step in test-driven development. We have failed successfully, right? So yeah, we have to fail in software development to kind of understand that we are moving forward, and that's exactly what we did now. We failed our test cases, we know what's the problem, and now we go back to fixing it. So So I know the two test cases are failing, and then now I go to my implementation. Now I start to write code. I know what's failing. Now I know what I have to write. So a basic implementation would be to a pretty bad implementation, at least, would be to just run through the entire array once, I mean twice, and then return the result, right? So, and I also say that this is going to have one unique combination. It's not going to have 100 of combination. It's just going to have one combination that's going to work. So let's write a pretty bad code. I mean, you have two for loops, it's considered as a pretty bad code. So for I in range 0 to length of array, so it's pretty much like English. Let me know if you guys are not following. Just raise your hand. We'll go through it. We'll try to debug it. And the next one will be for J in range 0 to, right? And now we are basically processing through the array twice, right? It's going to go from 0. This for loop is going to go from 0 to length of array. And then the second for loop is also going to go from 0 to array, I mean length of array once. So have you guys read about asymptotic notations, big O of n, all those things? If so, can you please raise your hand? Have you ever heard about this term, time complexity, or big O of n, time complexity n squared? Perfect. Yeah, Janani. That's great. So can you put it in the chat? Like, what would be the time complexity of this code? Let's say print nothing. How many? What would be the time complexity of print nothing? What would be the time complexity of this TwoSum code? Anyone? Anyone in chat? So I would make it easier. The first code executes in big O of n, and the second code, second line inside is going to execute in big O of n. So let's put a comment here, and this line is big O of n because it's going through the entire array once, and this is going to be again big O of n. So what would be the time complexity of nothing? How much time computer requires to run this if the array input is going to be infinite? If the array input is infinite, how many times it's going to process that array? That's my question. Anyone? Anyone in chat? Okay, let me kind of go and give the solution, but do take some time in understanding time complexities. Uh, oh, can someone say that? What is the time complexity of it?
So someone said in chat box as 6.
Yes, 6. That's uh, I don't know how did you come up with the number 6, because in usually when you say in time complexities, we always consider the array to be infinite. Let's say the array is 1 billion. It's not 6 anymore. This has to execute 1 billion into 1 billion times. So if this is going to be big O of n, and this is going to be big O of n, this nothing is just a multiple of two for loops, right? And what would be the time complexity of this? It would be big O of n squared. So n into n is n squared, right? So the same. If you say array's length is going to be 5, then this is going to execute 5 power 2 times. And if the array input is going to be infinite, that's when we do asymptotic analysis. Asymptotic analysis is very simple. Just don't think it as like it's kind of like black magic where someone is coming up with big O n square and log n. No, it's plain simple. When you consider array to have input as 5, this code is going to work fine. My computer has the computational power to process that 5 elements without any problem. It's going to be like blink of a second. But what would happen if you have infinite elements? What would happen if you have a billion elements? That's the way we think on software. So once you start thinking like that, you don't really need to know anything. All you have to just think what would happen if there's going to be infinite. And then instead of infinite, we replace it with n. That is asymptotic analysis. So n is going to be a very, very, very large number. and then the second for loop is also going to be a very large number. So nothing is going to be twice, is going to be a multiple of both. So let's say I'm going to add another for loop here for k in range of 0 to length of array. What do you think would happen? What would be the time complexity of nothing? Anyone? Put it on chat, and someone can say that to me. I'm not able to see the chat.
In part 3, sir?
That's correct. Yeah, it's n power 3. That's it. You got asymptotic analysis done, and you can pretty much clear Microsoft's interview. That's exactly what Microsoft requires. You need to understand asymptotic analysis and understand what will be the time complexity of the code you write. And once you understand that, that's when you can think about how to optimize it, right? If you don't know what's wrong, there's no way we can fix it. And that's the thumb rule of software engineering. You need to know what's wrong, and then go forward in fixing it. So now let's try to do that. Like let's try to fix the code. So but before that, we would write an n square complexity code, and then try going forward with it. So now we have array input I and j, and all we have to just look for is target. If target is double equal to I plus j, then just return I comma j, right? This would basically uh, run our execution. Let's try it. So is our first test case passing? Yeah, looks like our first test case got passed. As you can see, two test cases got run, and then we have one failure, whereas earlier we had two failures, right? So I'll just try to comment this out or take this out of existence so that we can see the passing test case. Oh, yeah, so it ran and in 0.00 seconds, and then we are good. Our, our code is good. But is our code going to handle all the edge cases? No. So now you might get to this understanding. Your code is good only based on your test cases. You have to write your test cases really, really good. You need to think what it is. As your third year, I'm sure you'll be working on your final year project. Try to think how you can test the code. The moment you start to do that, your code becomes super clean, and you could see the progress in like a month. I'm not even kidding. I'm sure every single person here can actually be appointed in Microsoft, Google, any big companies that you can name. um, if you just start writing test cases, your programming skill will skyrocket. It's just that this is not actually taught in India. That's the unfortunate truth. When I was doing my engineering in India, they never thought the importance of test driven development, because here it's more like, yeah, just do it, test it by manually, and then yeah, you're done. Because we can only remember so many things. Can anyone tell me what is your mom's phone number? It's very difficult, right? Like earlier, yeah, everyone can, but now I don't think most of us can even remember our own phone number. We kind of store it somewhere or just give a missed call to the other person. That's how it's going on. So humans are really, really bad in remembering things. So if you're writing a software, you have so many edge cases that you need to care about. And if you're not writing test cases, if you're not doing it, then you're basically creating a blunder. You're not getting the correct output. So this code might execute for certain cases, but what would happen if I'm just going to put the other edge case where it should return -1? This is a business requirement. This exactly is the business requirement. So it has to return -1, but it's not. It's going to return, what is it return? It's returning 0, 0, which is just pretty wrong, right? So that's it. That is software development. So just write the test, fix the test, and refactor your code to make it more optimal, and then just go forward with it. So what can we do now? Can we try fixing it? Is anyone willing to help me fix this? And is there? But before we fix it, let's just think about this implementation, even though this is not the optimal one, uh, I would leave the most optimal one to you to figure it out. But we will just try to optimize it very much little so that our code performs a little better. So, but we won't have any change in the time complexity. But let's see if we can make this a little better, right? So you can see that for I in range 0 to length of array, and then we're going again from 0 in the second time. So let's say we are now in the index 2. We'll again go back and check 1, right, or 0, right, which is time based. Like to put it in perspective, we will be checking ARR, array of element, when the index is at 1, we'll be checking 1 plus 0, which is our input here, right? 0 1 2 3 4. We'll be again checking 1 plus 0, but in the previous iteration we have already checked 0 plus 1. We know by mathematics that addition is associative. You can switch it. You can 0 plus 1 is equal to 1 plus 0. There's no big difference. But subtraction is not. So subtraction is only when you do an absolute. So that we're not going to do care about. It's only two sum. It's not two negative sum. At least now. Of course, we can add that edge case too, but for now I'll leave it out of picture. So there's no point in rechecking the same element again and again and again. So one small optimization we can do uh, is we could remove the 0 and put an I. Now what happens? Can anyone say what happens when you put I? Are we going to recheck the same element? Anyone can raise your hand or just type it out. What's going to happen? Are we going to recheck the same element? Looks like I don't have any answer. So we're not. We will be just going forward. If you, since you guys haven't answered, I'll just go through it line by line so that you can understand it much clearer. So let's go and build this whole for loop tree, right? 0, and then the second one is going to be let's say I is going to be 0, and then j is going to be 0 on the first time, and then I is still going to be 0, and j, let's say the array size is going to be 3 for simplicity, and then array's value is going to be 0 1 2, and we are looking for target value to be 3. So on the first instance, I is going to be 0, j is going to be 0. Again, on the second execution of this particular condition, 6 and 7, j is going to be 1, whereas I is going to be still 0. And the third iteration, I is going to be 0, and j is going to be 2. And that's when the inner for loop is going to break, and then it's going to increment the outer for loop. So when you increment the outer for loop, it's going to be 1, and then j is going to be 0. So the specific edge case I'm talking about is this. So you have the value of AR of 0 is going to be 0 plus 1. That is j's value. 0 plus 0 is going to be 0. We only want unique elements, right? We don't want a combination of the same elements. We want just unique elements. So 0 plus 0 doesn't really make any sense because you're just adding the same element again and again, right? So that's one edge case that we don't want. And the second one is going to be rechecking the same combination. 0 plus 1 is going to be 1, and 0 plus 2 is once again going to be 2, even if you added like 2 plus 0. So the same pattern is going to repeat here. It's going to be 0, 1, I is going to be 1, and j is going to be 0. So you can see that 0 plus 1 is getting repeated here, 1 plus 0. This is called the optimization phase. You understand that the same input is going to get reprocessed again and again. It's such a waste of time. We have already seen that that's not the result. That's why we are coming here again. So why to go forward with it? And it can be easily fixed if you just add I here. So then what happens here is you I is equal to 1 and j is equal to 1. But is this the most optimal solution? Yes, at least for the second edge case where you're looking at the repeated elements. This is an optimal edge case. Now we need to think about why are we just adding the same element again and again to check as the starting phase, right? I is equal to 1 and j is equal to 1. It's not two sums. We want unique sums. So easiest way would be I plus 1. That's it. So you don't really check the same element again and again. It's kind of the process that we have to follow. And now I've done a huge change in my code. There's a lot of changes in my code. Now I need to make sure that this is passing at least the first test case. You could run this. Yes, looks like the first test case is still valid. It's getting the correct answer, but the second one is failing because it's still returning uh, the same element, but it has to return -1. So for that, we need to go and look into more optimal solution where we actually check if the element is same or not. If the element is same, then you're going to return -1, right? So another edge case is just adding uh, sorry, here of I. So I'm saying that if both the elements are just same, just don't take care of it. Uh, and then this line is never going to get executed if two elements are just the same, but even though they add up to the same target. So in return, I'm just going to say -1, and that's it. All the test cases are going to get passed. But once again, is this the best optimal solution that we can get? Probably not. I'm just trying to induce the way you have to think when you approach a software problem. That's it. There's tons and tons of improvement that we can do to this code, where this can actually be executed with single for loop with big O of n time complexity, where you just process the entire array just once to figure out what would be the target. I would just leave that to you to think about and then try to come up with multiple test cases to pass it. Uh, so yeah, this is pretty much test driven development. So before I go, I wanted to give you a kind of an intro on where you can learn software development without any cost and kind of compete with like your engineering peers or your computer science other college peers and get onto a better job, get onto big companies, and then go forward with it. So uh, the first thing I want you all to do is open an account on GitHub. How many of you know about GitHub? At least have heard about GitHub. Please raise your hands. Anyone? No one knows about GitHub at all? Okay. So how many of you at least know about, like uh, WordPress, blogging, or any? How many of you knows about Facebook? What's Facebook? Right, two people have raised hands. I'm sure everyone knows about Facebook because Facebook is nothing but sharing your information and then someone collaborating with you with your happiness or your sadness and kind of commenting on that. And that's exactly what social network is, right? So imagine the same social network for programmers, developers, and then like creative people. That's GitHub, right? So you have source control called Git that helps you. It's very simple. I'm not going to go in internal details of how it works and what you have to do to get it, but I'm just going to point you the places so that you can go and have a look at it. It's not something. It's not a rocket science. Actually, it's pretty basic. It's very simple. Anyone, if I can do, any one of you can do. So one good thing with GitHub is it's a collaboration space for everyone. For example, you could share your project. You could collaborate with multiple people. So this is my GitHub repository or GitHub dashboard. I have hundreds of like notifications about what is going wrong, what is the code, and what would be the problem. So one sample that I've been working now, at least like in the recent one, would be this. So you could see that on each and every commit, you could go and see what code you wrote, and then you can commit it. And then there's someone out there in the wild is going to come and help you build this code and run it. So GitHub is really good. You could build your own profile. So once you start building your profile, you kind of get a lot of people calling you. You get recruiters calling you. Uh, so many people would actually go and read through your code, and then they would actually kind of say, hey, whatever you contributed is really good, and then we want to hire you. And that's how it is going on. And you will also get more confidence. The more and more you contribute to other projects, you get more confidence. So this is one project that I've been contributing to Parcler. So it kind of gets you more confidence. There's like tons and tons of people using it, and then you get that confidence, right? Like, yeah, there's so many people using your software, and then it gives you a really good compass to your imposter syndrome, or to my imposter syndrome at least. I do have imposter syndrome. I always feel like, oh, am I faking it? No, it's just that that's how technology is. Since things are evolving so fast, we kind of feel always that, yes, I'm faking it. No, this is not true. Maybe I'm not really capable. That the feeling always there is there for every single person. Do you know Linus Torvalds, the person who created Linux? Uh, is also facing the same thing. So it's there in the tech, and we have to deal with it. And in these places like social networks of GitHub, kind of helps you to break the cocoon and then believe that, yeah, you are capable of developing, and then you are capable of uh, shipping software and changing other people's life. And that's the most important thing of building software. You can change the entire perspective of the world that you're living on, which only comes once in a lifetime, because this is the phase where we can change the entire outlook. So Parcler is one good location that you can go and learn. I mean, not Parcler, but GitHub, sorry. Uh, so GitHub Education gives you a lot of benefits for student bank, and that's exactly what we're going to look into. Uh, so we have hundreds and hundreds of APIs, hundreds and hundreds of resources that we can get started, like cloud, JetBrains, IDEA, all those things. You can start Microsoft Azure. They give you so much money that you can spend, like $5,000, $6,000 on cloud. It's not the cash that you can draw it out of bank, but they give that amount for you to get started, to start your own online presence, your own business, or your own profile, so that other people can look at you and can learn from you. So yeah, pretty much just have a look at it. You can once you register with your college ID card, you can access almost every single thing for free here, and it's amazing. Uh, this is the place I actually started software development back in 2014. I registered for, I think it's 2013. Registered for this when I was doing my bachelor's, and and this was the single most important or influential thing that I did, that changed the entire outlook of me looking at software development, and then saying it's a social process. So you need to be online. And the second one that I would say to spend so much time on would be Free Code Camp. Free Code Camp is a place where you can do test-driven development and understand JavaScript or responsive web application for free. It's completely free. You don't have to do anything. You don't need to pay a single penny, but you get every single certification for free. Uh, is this certification going to fit your job? Not really. But this certification is not the normal certification, like just writing a exam, a 2 mark question or a 10 mark question, just getting a certificate and then going forward. No, that's not required. There's hundreds of people, thousands of people having a bachelor degree. What differentiates you is your skills. And here you can build your skills at the same time get a certificate too for that skill. So uh, kind of let's just just go commenting your code. So you have to write whatever has been taught on the left side. So using a comment would actually create a comment line. So try creating one for each type of comment. You have to first try to run the test cases. All the tests completed and almost uh, everything failed. See, you can see the X marks here. And this is how you need to learn programming. You need to fail the test cases and then write it. So simple. They would expect you to kind of write the same on the right side so that they can actually understand what's happening. Uh, you can see the one test case got passed because I have written a double comment. So you could see that this is really really basic, but if you actually going to look into all the complex things that they're going to have, you're going to create a palindrome checker. There's so many things that you could actually build. Uh, yeah, basically, if you give me a paper, I can actually write to you that if you finish at least one certification out of this, you would be a pro in programming. A pro in programming. I'm not even kidding. It's kind of like a straight to job solution, where it's not going to be just some job. It's going to be a job at probably at Google where you kind of change the entire uh, universe of programming. Uh, can you guys hear me? Looks like okay, yeah, looks like okay. So with that, let's just get started on the thing that I actually wanted to do now. So is there any question until now? Because what I wanted to cover was just the perspective that you have to look into and how you can get started. Is there any other questions on this? Uh, can you guys hear me?
So a girl asked, give me some tips about how to start programming skills and how you started.
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So the first step I actually started was just using free code camp. If you don't believe, it's all on free code camp. I kind of started with free code camp and then try to understand all the language constraints and then go forward with all the libraries that's been there. I'll just share it again. And then another yeah. So I created a new profile just to show for you. But Freecode Camp has coding interview preparation. It has all the algorithms, how we can do bubble sort, selection sort, insertion sort. So there are it's actually in technology, at least in our computer science, theoretical knowledge is not going to take us any forward. It's just going to be we're going to stay same and we're not going to improve. But only when you start doing a lot of data structure coding and then checking how it works, and that's exactly how I developed. I kind of always go and build some project like Pinterest, book, anything. So you can even build a peer-to-peer video chat application. So how many of us are using Zoom every single day now? Why can't you actually build a peer-to-peer video chat application and probably give it to your college and reduce the cost? You can do that. Like there's tons and tons of things that you can build and then change or reduce the price. So yeah, you can even build Google in no time. It's just that the difference between what you build is just that it might be scalable for 10 people, but Google can probably do it for like 7 billion people. So that would be the only difference. But you would still be getting the exact same implementation or a very close implementation. So Uh, the phase I started was this. It has hundreds and hundreds of algorithms, data structures to get started. So this would just give you a head start. But if you want to fetch jobs at bigger places, then there's something called lead code. I'm sure only those engineering communities it's getting popular, but leak code is the place where you can go and solve problems and learn. So the only way to go and learn computer science is just by solving problems. You could see how I've solved like 578 problems. You have basically problems for targeted problems for what they would ask at interview, what they would be looking for, and this basically improves your programming skills too. You could select by topics, you could select array, and you could hone your skills in array. You could say what are the combinations of problems that's existing in computer science on arrays. See the TwoSum problem I just said, the highest frequency it's getting repeated. I'll go into it and show you how many places they're actually asking this exact question. So look here. So Amazon 90 times, Google in past 6 months, Google, Apple, Adobe. So it's almost it's like uh, if you want a job, probably lead code is the best place to start. But if you want to learn programming and then create applications that helps people to go forward, then the best place would be Free Code Camp, where you create hundreds and hundreds of projects. So today I thought of showing you how to build front end and back end and the whole stuff. So that everything that I'm going to show you, you could learn in no time. Of course, it says 300 hours. The 300 hours it just says is a very very fat estimate. You could easily learn the entire thing in like a week, and start your own business. You can create your own app and probably change the world. That's it. So this is the fastest way of learning. So yeah, I hope I answered your question. Second one, efficiently, which websites are good to practice. Right. So programming efficiently, lead code is the best platform that I can say. You could just write, and then they would also have solutions. They can go and look at it. So if you see here, we would have done a brute force implementation. Pretty much our implementation is what they have done. In Square, they would explain in detail of how to get a one pass hash table solution. As I said, you could do a big of, a normal n complexity solution, and each lookup table costs just a constant time. So there's a huge community you can go to discuss and then kind of see through it. Your programming skills would be top notch in a month. I'm not even kidding. Initially, solving 1 to 2 problem would actually be really difficult. But if you just cross that phase, uh, try to cross that phase. Once you cross that phase, that's it. You are a pro, and probably I might be learning from you. So yeah, it's amazing. It's a pretty good platform to learn. And what I wanted to show you guys was uh, a very basic React and Redux project. React, I would just try to give an example and then a very basic code. I would try to share it after this meeting to everyone. Since this one, I don't think I can fully complete it because the time is very limited. All the explanation, but I would after this meeting, I'll just make sure to record a complete video of what I'm doing to build a basic app with both the front end and back end, and deploying it to cloud, where you have AWS, Amazon. One another route is they do a lot of certifications. If you get an Amazon certification, I think it's 12,000 rupees. If you do an Amazon certification, it's the most in demand certification. It's about but before I explain about cloud, I just wanted to ask you guys, uh, have you ever read history? Just not to scare you. Have you ever read history? about how actually British kind of came in and conquered India? Like anyone knows about the history? I don't see any answers. Oh yeah, someone. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The courses are free in. Yeah, it's right. The free code camp actually means the same thing. It's free. It's in the name, so it's completely free. Uh, you can learn it, and in no time. Uh, for example, there's hundreds and hundreds of people actually got jobs in so many big orgs just doing free code camp. It's something that I would recommend everyone to do. So, well, the cloud is nothing but you just. I wanted to finish this up. Sorry. AWS is or the cloud is nothing but it gives you all the services that you want. Like if you go and look at the products, you have hundreds and hundreds of products. One example I just wanted to show would be uh, right, machine learning, right? So you might be thinking about how to build this model. Let's say you're building an app that wants image recognition and you want to make sure that you do everything. Like it's such a time waste, right? You're going to implement image reading, processing it, building the model, and then doing it. It's tough. It's really tough. It takes a lot of time, and it's not your core objective. Your core objective might be to build this application, but not really implement that. If you're just going to implement that particular module or machine learning module, then that's a whole different scenario. But if your implementation is has a module that is machine learning, then you can use cloud. You can just connect it to, for example, I just talk about fraud detection. So you're building a bank application, right? You have a lot of data that has to be processed and then detects fraud. You could just, rather than creating the entire thing, you go to Amazon or any Azure. There's so many cloud providers. Even the one I'm working for is Oracle Cloud. um, just to give some promotion for my owner. So the place I work for. So every single one has created a lot of services that you can consume and build your application so fast. Instagram runs completely on Amazon cloud. So a lot of the services that they provide, like image upload, download, it's all Amazon. It's all taken care by Amazon. All they just do is get it and show it to you, do some analytics and show some ad. That's it. So cloud is nothing but kind of outsourcing your certain modules for some price that you have to pay. But if you are going to sign up today or this anytime now, you might be getting a 1 year free utility of all the cloud services. So I'll show you here AWS free trial. So if you go to AWS free trial, you'll be having hundreds and hundreds of services for 12 months free. No money, nothing. So even if you sign up to GitHub education that I showed earlier, you get $5,000 to $6,000. It's in dollars money. So which we can never spend unless and until you're having a big business that's scaling up. But at that point of time, you would have so much money to pay your bills. But you could see there's so much you can actually do and try to use all these services in your final year project, and your project would be way ahead of time. Not even in engineering, there's a lot of people are using AWS and all these cloud services. Just try to do it. I'm sure there is one cloud computing course that's being taken for you guys. Make sure you sign up for it, and then make sure you make the best out of it by making some project out of AWS. And there's just if you don't know anything, you could always do a GitHub search. You could say, let's say I want to do image sharing app example in GitHub. Just saying photo sharing. You immediately get an app example for photo sharing. So someone would have already done that app. All you have to do is read code. You We all read books, right? Like you probably read all the daily news and everything. It's exactly the same with code. Just read the code and you know how to do the code. That's it. So someone would have already created it for you. Just go through it, try to understand what he has done, and then give your own composition or add your own flavor to it, and that's it. So uh, pretty much. Oh, I have more questions. Certifications are free. Yes, certifications are completely free. If you're going to learn cloud, what are the priority knowledge, prayer knowledge? You don't really need any prayer knowledge. Cloud is nothing but a computer over there on someone else place. All you just need to know is how to connect to it and how to run your code on that place. That's it. So I just to explain, AWS Lambda is nothing but it's a cloud computing service that is going to run your code automatically. Uh, it manages all the server, so they call it as serverless. So you don't really need to understand how it's going to work and what it's going to do. So you have a MySQL database. You would have done some PHP projects, right? Your MySQL database is in local system, but if you want to publish it to everyone for them to use, then MySQL is going this particular cloud is or this particular service is going to help you do that. So it's pretty easy. I can show my personal account actually. So just a second. Oops. Perfect. So yeah, kind of this is my personal account. So if you see here, you have hundreds and hundreds of services. One is compute, easy to, I mean, you can always do a Google. They have very good documentation, video tutorials. But if you feel that you want some kind of a single place for all your resources, there's one Udemy course that I can recommend. AWS, I think certification was the right. So here, solutions architect. Yeah, I think which one? I think certificate solutions architect associate. Yeah, this is the one that I would recommend. So if you see here, it costs 500 rupees, but it has almost every single thing that you actually require to pass this exam. And so, so the moment you read this, it's going to give you a complete introduction uh, on almost all the AWS services, what is cloud, how to do it. This is also one pathway that you can do where you don't do programming, whereas cloud is more like configuration management. You say to the Amazon that, yeah, you need this server, you need this configuration, and then you set it up. DevOps cloud is booming. So there's tons and tons of opportunities here too, but this is a very easy way if you people think that programming is not something that's your cupcake. But I would still say try to learn programming. But if you feel that yeah, programming is a little bit tough for you, then cloud is the best way you could earn so much money, because it's like I'm not even kidding. I can even show. Uh, uh, so pretty much your starting salary would be 18 lakhs if you just do AWS, if you just know AWS certification. And I'm not even kidding, it's not just in India, it's also across the world. uh, Cloud is booming, so if you just do some kind of certifications like this, it's gonna get you a very good pathway. But once again, this is not a programming route, it's going to be uh, it's going to be, in the sense, a little configuration and understanding all the services. So that's how it's going to be. But for anything you want, there's always tons and tons of examples on GitHub. Just don't be afraid to share it, because all the licenses that GitHub publishes is MIT license, which means you are allowed to copy, and that's how software development is going to happen. You take someone's feature and try to build over it. don't always think that, don't feel guilty, because a lot of us will feel guilty that, oh, I'm taking someone's project. No, it's not. They are expecting you to take that project and improve it and build over it. So see, you have commercial use, modification, and even private use. So there's so many projects that you can build and create amazing applications to help your college, or even your parents, or even let's say your parents are running a business. You can create your own app to help them run the business. So yeah, is there any other questions that you have in mind? Anyone? Any questions? Okay, so with that, I'll just give you a brief intro on what is what is the what is the app that I would want you guys to build. Feel free to create a GitHub account. Sign up with your college ID. You get uh, how many years? Like, let's say you're in second year, you get 2 years of free access. If you're on third year, you get 1 full year of free access. You can use so much, and just send the link. I'll share my email ID. I'll go through your code and see how you have implemented it, and then we can, like, improve. You become the part of the GitHub community, and then start contributing more code, and then let's get started on that. So one last thing, this I'm going to be very brief because we don't have the time to cover everything. But I would definitely make a video of this and then try to send it to you all. So people who are interested, please do create a GitHub account, create a project. Pretty much what I'm trying to say now, and see how we can deploy it. I'll send the whole video. Just follow the same video and then try to deploy it to cloud, and then do let me know if you have any issues. I'll share my email ID. You can go through it. So the technology, or the one that we are going to use to build, would be React. I just typed in this name here so that it's more easy for you guys to follow and then uh, learn about it. It's all there in free code camp. I'm not inventing anything. So the first one for front end would be React, and the other one would be uh, Node.js. So you guys would be using PHP, right? You are learning PHP. PHP is kind of gone now. There's no more. No one likes PHP because it has pointers, and it runs on server. So it's not actually running on the client application. So now since your phone itself is going to have 8 GB, 10 GB of RAM, there is no point of using server-side rendering. Uh, PHP is server-side rendering, right? So what we are trying to do is REST API. A REST API is nothing but you just want to share a very little information to the client, and the client has a complex smart UI that's going to handle all the edge cases for you and make it a very pleasant experience for the user. uh, One more question I have: if I learn Java, right? So yeah, if you learn Java as your first programming language, yes, it's going to be really easy, because almost all the other programming languages you're going to face is going to be the same. So go ahead, learn Java. One good resource or one good book I can refer, if you guys like reading book, would be Head First Programming. Head First Programming, Java. This is an amazing book that you can actually look at. Look up and go through it. It's kind of same. It hacks your memory, where it's all based on images, and then it gives you a good idea. So just have a look at it. I'll also share this link. The second way of learning Java would be, once again, in Lead Code. Go to Lead Code or HackerRank. HackerRank is also really a good platform. It's just that HackerRank it has too many questions for the same problem. It's like a rat running on a wheel. You will keep on running, but you will not learn anything new. But in lead code, just solve 10 problems. You would feel the difference. And just give it a try. Just try 10 easy problems. Just go here, set the difficult to easy, and then just just solve first 10 problems that comes here, and then tell me how much your programming skill has improved. It'll be quite a lot. So uh, you have a problem statement here, and then let's say the language you want to learn would be MySQL. Okay, now it's coming in MySQL. Let's try doing something uh, which is not MySQL. Okay, the threesome problem probably. So once you want to learn Java, just learn the basics of Java in head first. Just see through uh, the images. So here, this book has a way in which kind of it imprints the thing in your memory. So they have done a research. It's not based on writing. So just have a look at it. You would feel the difference. It would be like use by use, case by case basis. They would even explain how they are hacking your brain to make sure you remember everything. This book's really good for at least for starters. And then go to threesome solution rather than setting to Python, set it to Java and try to do a Java implementation, and that's it. You're done with your Java programming language. Any further questions? Because anyways, I don't have time for explaining the whole React application and the Node.js. I'll try to make a short video for both the React and the Node.js application. Node.js is nothing but for writing our backend. Uh, and React is for our front end. So I'll just try to make a short video, and so that we can go in detail of how we can build this application. And I'll also have the final stages where you deploy this application to GitHub, and from GitHub you would automatically deploy it to AWS. That's a cloud, and then you can actually see your site live for no cost. This you can run this entire application for no cost forever. So that's how it's going to be, and it's completely free. So just don't worry about that. Uh, sure. Thanks. Thanks to you for asking the question. Any further questions? So we just have probably 15 more minutes. I'd be happy to answer your questions on anything which is related to software industry or programming. And there's one other thing that I wanted to say is software industry is kind of having a huge demand for uh, for for tech people who are females, because this has become software has become hugely a male dominated industry, and every single company is trying to improve the diversity, because when something is just controlled by a single set of people, then it loses its perspective. So I would be happy to see more and more people coming in, and there's so many companies that's actually wanting us to do that. There's more companies that is actually recruiting uh, uh, software developers who are women, so that it's helping improve the diversity. Yeah, Janani, you have raised the hand. Can you ask it in the chat or in the QA? So yeah, as in the diversity has to be completely improved, and you could see that there's a huge demand. There's a really huge demand for women who are coding. So there's hundreds and hundreds of organization helping women code, because it's very important to have a balanced yeah, this Women Who Code is such a big organization that you can sign up for free. They help you get job. They help you get the network. Uh, because since it's becoming a whole male dominated software industry, then what happens is whatever software we build, it doesn't handle all the people that we want to cater easily, because you need to have multiple perspectives, right? Like women think completely different from what men think. So the gender gap has to be fixed, and every single company is really looking to hire a lot of women. And it's sad because the first computer programmer was Ada Lovelace, who was a woman, and even Charles Babbage was not able to explain his computer, but she has written a complete explanation that no one ever understood about analytical engine. So she was the first programmer, and woman was the first programmer, but now the diversity has reduced a lot. So this has to every company is actually looking to eliminate this so that the product is really catering everyone. So just 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 don't be afraid, go forward, and there's huge opportunity looking for uh, women who code, and there's so many things that's happening yeah, in this uh, in this industry at least.
Thank you, sir. That was a wonderful session, and also thank you for clearing all the doubts. Now I request Irfana to propose the vote of thanks.
On this auspicious occasion, it gives me immense pleasure to deliver the vote of thanks for this event. I take this golden opportunity to thank the resource person of this event, Mr. Vignesh Sundararajan sir, who spared the time for us from his busy schedule to grace this webinar with his address on Building Applications 2021. We are fully motivated by your inspiring speech, sir, which seemed to be the need of the hour. Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your knowledge, which gave deep insights into the topic. Whatever it is, whether it is a programming language or human life, even though we fail in first two test cases, we are automatically succeed in the third attempt. That ensures us we are progressing, considering our failures as stepping stone to success. Thank you, sir, for suggesting lots of websites for improving our programming skills. Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful session. I would like to thank the management of SDNB Vaishnav College for Women and our principal, Dr. Geeta ma'am, for giving us an opportunity to conduct the webinar on Building Applications 2020 way. I would like to thank Dr. C.P. Sumati ma'am for having arranged such a nice session, and our thanks to our staff members and student participants and volunteers for making this session a grand success. I would like to thank our beloved students for their unfaltering support and my deep sense of appreciation and thanks to all the participants who chose to be live with us and attended the webinar with great enthusiasm and made it a successful event. Thank you, buddies, and thank you all.
Thank you, Irfana. Last but surely not the least, I wholeheartedly thank all those who worked upon this webinar with the technical support, making this as much as possible interactive. Once again, I thank you all for being with us this morning. Have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you, sir.
Sure. And it hasn't ended yet, so just try to make sure you look for the mail I'm planning to send. Look at the project that I've created. Just make sure you create a GitHub account right away, and then probably I would send my GitHub link to you could follow me. I could follow you, and then you could build better software, right? All the best.
Okay, sir. Thank you.